You are welcome, everyone. Today we want to look at the folder structure of React. In our last class, we installed React. So let's just look at the folder structure of React. Now, this is my folder structure of React. You remember this was what we installed my first project. So when I click it, these are all the packages that was what installed for us automatically by React from the internet. So you can see the first directory here is the node modules. Now, what then is the node modules? The node modules contains several directories, several subdirectories. The node modules is stores what and it helps to store packages. That is what it does. So the node modules helps to store packages. It store them. So it keep all packages that you installed in your project. It keep them. That's what the node modules does. So the next one, it's the public folder or public directory. Now the public directory is where you get the favicon. The favicon icon is the React icon, which you are seeing on the screen. It has the React logo, which you also see on the screen. It's where you basically keep your images. Let me use that word. That's what the public folder is. And there is an important file in the public folder, which is called the index.html. The index.html looks like an HTML file. It's where you basically put all your projects. When I say basically, not directly put your project. You can see this ID root. This ID root is where your project sits on. This ID root. Now, all your projects indirectly sits on this ID root. So I'm going to show you where we reference this ID root. So in this index.html, you can rename the title just like the way you normally do in words in HTML. You can rename this title to say my first React. And when you save this and go to your browser, you see my first React as the title. You can see that my first React. You can see that. You can also change the favicon from the words from that particular page I just showed you, index.html, and from this public directory. So that is all for the public folder. Now the most important one is the SRC folder. This SRC folder is where all your work will be seated on. All your work will be done in this SRC folder. All your components, all your style sheets, everything will be seated on this SRC folder. Let's take a look at each one of those files in the SRC folder. We have the app.css. Now the app.css is one of the default global styling for React. You can see it. There looks more of CSS. App title align center, app logo, height 40, pointer event. This is one of the global styling for React. We also have one of the most important one, if not one of the most important one. Now, this is the app.js. Anything you want to show on the browser must be kept inside the app.js. I repeat, anything that you want to be displayed on the browser must be kept inside the app.js. This is the app.js. This thing you are seeing on the screen. Edit, SRC, app.js. You can see the app.js was emphatically displayed here. So anything I type in the app.js will show on this browser. Let's try that. So if by adventure I come here and I decide to say learn React, and also learn Node.js, and I save this. So if you go to your browser, you can see that if you go to your browser, let it compile. Once you finish compiling, I'll go to the browser, then I'll show you, okay, it has finished compiling. Now you can see learn React and also learn Node.js. So anything you type in the words app.js will automatically show on the browser. If I decide to now take away this edit and say updates, then I save and I go to the browser, you will see updates. So that is a basic, very important, this aspect of app.js. You can remove all these defaults setting from React. I can decide to remove everything. I take them out and put my own, which you'll be doing more often. So I can decide to come here inside the app.js, then I say h1 If I say H1, this is Ernest, the developer, talking. So when I save this, I should be expecting this is Ernest, the developer, talking. You can see that I've customized it to what? To suit me or to suit our taste. This is what we'll be doing more often. So that is all for the what? App.js. We also have app.test.js. This one, not much about this as such. We also have a global a global styling for React. Now this is React global style. You can decide to change this if you want to put your own styling. No problem about that. If I decide to change the color of this, I can do that also. You get that? So if I come here and I say I want, let me take away all these things. If I decide to now customize it to be mine, I say I want background color to be aqua. Then I save this. So let's wait for it to compile. Okay, I go to the browser. You can see it is now aqua. That is the global style sheet for what? React. So anything you do there will reflect. So let me put it back to the default, because we may likely not use it. So the next one is index.js. Yes, you remember I showed you the app.js initially, and I said that anything that you want to show on the browser should be kept inside the app.js. Now for your app.js, it's also a component. I'm going to talk about component later in the course. It's going to be referenced in this React strict mode components also. In the index.js, this is where your app will be seated. And I made mention about the roots in the index.html. Remember, this is just JavaScript code. Get element, document or get element by ID roots. So anything you are doing, everything you are doing here sits on the roots. I made mention of that. This is the roots. So this index.js, if I take away this, if I comment out this app.js, nothing will show on the browser. If I do that, let's try that. I comment out the app.js and I comment out the import app.js. If I save this, my browser will be blank. So let's go to the browser. You can see it is blank. So that means my app.js is a component. It's seated inside where? The index.js. So let me undo it and save. I've undo it. So let's go back to the browser. So you can see it came back. So that is the index.js. We also have the logo SVG, which is React SVG logo. We have the report web vital, which is not really important to us. Setup test. Then we have the git ignore. Now, from the knowledge of git and git, you should be able to know of git ignore. Now, when you push your application or your React project to GitHub, React will automatically ignore node modules. Do you want to know why? Node modules alone contains hundreds, thousands of directories and subdirectories. That will be too much for it for you to push to your GitHub repo or your GitHub repository. So because of that, React will ignore it. React will the Git will ignore it. Sorry. So these are all the files that Git ignore will ignore or Git will ignore. Most important one is Git node modules. But when you want to clone or pull it, there is a command in React which you're going to get back your node modules, which is npm install. Later I'll show you how to do that. We also have the package log.json, which also works like the package.json. Now, what is the package.json? The package.json make reference to any words, any package or dependencies that are installed on your project. So anytime you download and install or you install any package or dependency, it is referenced here. It is not the package is not kept here. It is only referenced. Take for instance, we install a package called React version 18.20. You can see it referenced the name of the package that we install and also the version. You get that? So the package.json help to keep a record of all installed dependencies or packages and their version, while node modules keep the content of the installed package or dependencies. So I hope you get the difference between package.json and node modules. Node modules help to keep the content of your installed packages or dependencies, while package.json help to what? Keep the reference, help to keep the reference and the name of the package you install. So the last one is the readme. Now this is just for you to just create stories on readme. I'm not really interested about the readme, but you can read that up. So I believe you now understand the React structure so far. So we're going to stop here now. In our next class, we keep the ball rolling. Thanks very much.